The grand hall was packed with people. The air buzzed with excitement and anticipation as families and friends gathered to celebrate the achievements of their loved ones. The scent of freshly cut flowers mixed with the faint hint of formaldehyde from the pristine graduation gowns. I adjusted my cap nervously and scanned the room for my grandmother. Suddenly, I saw her. Eleanor, my grandmother, stood near the entrance. The crowd shifted uncomfortably as they noticed her. She was barefoot, her weathered feet exposed against the polished marble floor. Her presence was a stark contrast to the well-dressed guests and their polished shoes. My heart sank as I saw the disapproving glances directed at her, but a rush of conflicting emotions surged through me. Embarrassment, pride, and a profound sense of gratitude. As I made my way to her, I tried to push through the crowd. I could hear murmurs of confusion and judgment, and I felt their weight pressing down on me. When I finally reached Eleanor, her face broke into a warm, if somewhat weary, smile. "Grandma," I said, my voice quivering slightly. "What are you doing here, and why are you barefoot?" Eleanor's smile widened. "Oh, Lily, I wouldn't miss this for the world. I've been waiting for this day for so long. As for my feet, I just thought it was time to show where we come from." I glanced around, seeing more curious and disapproving faces. "But Grandma, people are staring. They're judging you." Eleanor chuckled softly, her eyes twinkling with a mixture of mischief and defiance. "Let them stare. Let them judge. I'm here to celebrate your success, not to worry about what others think." I sighed, feeling a pang of embarrassment mixed with admiration. "I just don't want you to be embarrassed. This is my day, and I don't want anything to overshadow it." Eleanor reached out and patted my hand reassuringly. "Lily, my dear, I've lived through much worse than stares and whispers. This day is about you, not me. I'm proud of you, and that's all that matters." I felt a lump form in my throat. Her words, though simple, carried the weight of years of sacrifice and love. As we walked together toward the seats, I could see the audience's gaze shift from disapproval to something softer, a mix of respect and curiosity. During the ceremony, as I received my diploma and looked out into the crowd, my eyes found Eleanor's. Despite the harshness of the floor, she sat there with grace and pride, her bare feet a silent testament to the sacrifices she had made for me. After the ceremony, as we walked out together, I finally found the courage to speak again. "Grandma, thank you for everything. I know it wasn't easy, and I'm sorry if I made you feel like you had to do this." Eleanor shook her head and smiled, her eyes shimmering with tears. "Lily, don't ever apologize for being successful. My sacrifices were never about me. They were about giving you the chance to reach your dreams. Seeing you succeed is all the reward I need." As we left the hall hand in hand, I felt a renewed sense of purpose and a deeper connection with my grandmother. The disapproving glances had faded, replaced by the profound realization of the love and dedication that had brought us to this moment. The vegetable stand was always a bustling hive of activity, with Eleanor meticulously arranging fresh produce each morning. The sun beat down relentlessly, its warmth a constant reminder of the years Eleanor had spent working under its harsh glare. I often visited her after school, helping when I could, but it was clear that the stand represented more than just a source of income. It was a symbol of her unyielding dedication to our family. One sweltering afternoon, while Eleanor wiped down the counter with a damp cloth, I watched her with a mix of admiration and concern. Her hands, rough and calloused from years of labor, moved with practiced ease, but I could see the toll the work had taken on her. Her feet, always bare in the heat, were a testament to the sacrifices she had made. "Grandma," I said as I placed a basket of carrots on the counter, "do you ever get tired of this? It seems like such hard work." Eleanor looked up from her task, her face creased with a weary smile. "Oh, Lily, it's hard work, yes, but it's worth it. Every hour I spend here is an investment in your future." I shook my head, feeling a pang of guilt. "But you've worked so hard for so long. Maybe it's time to slow down a bit." Eleanor's gaze softened as she rested her hands on the counter. Slow down, and let you struggle alone. No, dear. I made a promise to myself when I first started this stand. I would do whatever it took to give you a chance at something better. Education is your ticket out of this cycle, and I'm not about to let anything stop you. Her words struck a chord deep within me. I knew she was right. Her sacrifices were not just about providing for us, but about ensuring a brighter future for me. Yet, I couldn't help but worry about her well-being. Grandma, you work so hard. Sometimes I'd wonder if it's worth it, I confessed, feeling the weight of our situation more acutely than ever. Eleanor's eyes met mine, filled with a mixture of determination and affection. Lily, it's not about whether it's worth it. It's about knowing that I'm doing everything I can to support you. When I see you studying, working hard, I know it's all worth it. We worked side by side in silence for a few moments, the only sounds being the distant chatter of customers and the rustling of leaves. I glanced at her, admiring her resilience. Grandma, I said quietly, I don't know if I can ever fully repay you for everything you've done. Eleanor chuckled softly, shaking her head. Repay me. Just promise me one thing, Lily. Anything, I replied eagerly. Promise me you'll use the opportunities I've fought for to make a difference. Don't let all of this be in vain. Make something of yourself, and make me proud. I nodded, a lump forming in my throat. I promise, Grandma. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the stand, Eleanor and I continued our work. Each movement was infused with the silent understanding that her sacrifices were the foundation of my dreams. It was a heavy burden she carried with grace, one that shaped our lives in ways I was only beginning to appreciate. Later that evening, as we closed up for the day, Eleanor took a moment to sit on the small wooden stool behind the counter. She looked out at the quiet street, her expression contemplative. I remember when your grandfather and I first started this stand, she said wistfully. We had nothing but hope and determination. I've worked every day since then, often barefoot, just to keep the dream alive for you. Her words were a poignant reminder of the journey we had shared. Thank you, Grandma, for everything. Eleanor's tired eyes met mine with a soft smile. You don't need to thank me, Lily. Just make sure you remember where you came from and keep pushing forward. As we walked home together under the fading light, I felt a renewed sense of commitment to my studies and to honoring the sacrifices Eleanor had made. The burden of her sacrifices was heavy, but it was also a powerful force driving me to succeed. The transition to university life was both exhilarating and overwhelming. The campus was a sprawling labyrinth of modern buildings and bustling students, a far cry from the small vegetable stand and humble neighborhood I had grown up in. I was acutely aware of how different my life had become, and it often felt like I was caught between two worlds, the new opportunities of university and the familiar, but increasingly distant, life with Eleanor. One crisp autumn afternoon, I was sitting in my dorm room, surrounded by textbooks and papers, when my phone buzzed with a message from Eleanor. I had been so absorbed in my studies that I hadn't realized how long it had been since we'd last talked. I dialed her number, hoping to catch a break from the academic grind. Hey, Grandma, I said as she answered. How's everything at the stand? Hello, Lily. Eleanor's voice came through, warm and familiar. It's going well, though it's been quieter than usual. I've been thinking about you a lot. How are things at university? I sighed, leaning back in my chair. It's a lot. The coursework is intense, and I feel like I'm always running to keep up. Sometimes I wonder if I'm living up to what you've sacrificed for. Eleanor's tone was gentle but firm. You're doing wonderfully, Lily. It's normal to feel overwhelmed. Just remember, this is what we worked for. I believe in you. I nodded, though she couldn't see me. I know, but it's hard to balance everything. There's so much pressure to fit in and succeed, and sometimes I feel like I'm losing touch with home. Eleanor chuckled softly. I understand, but remember, you're not alone in this. We're all part of the same story. Just because you're experiencing something new doesn't mean you've forgotten where you came from. As we continued to talk, I tried to explain the complexities of my new life, the friendships I was forming, and the challenges I was facing. But it wasn't long before the conversation turned to a more pressing issue. "Grandma, I'm having a hard time finding time to come back home. I've been thinking about the stand and everything you do there, and I wish I could help more," I confessed. Eleanor's voice grew serious. "You don't need to worry about the stand, Lily. My life here is different from yours now. You're making a future for yourself. Just promise me that you won't let it all slip away because of the pressure. Stay true to your goals." As the conversation ended, I felt a sense of both comfort and guilt. Eleanor's words were a reminder of the sacrifices she had made, but also a call to focus on my own path. Weeks later, a particularly stressful week of exams left me feeling frazzled. I decided to visit Eleanor at the stand during a brief break between classes. As I approached, I noticed her working diligently, her bare feet moving swiftly over the uneven pavement. "Grandma," I called out as I reached the stand. Eleanor looked up, her face lighting up with a smile. "Lily, what a pleasant surprise. How are your exams going?" "Overwhelming," I admitted as I helped her arrange some vegetables. "I'm trying to balance it all, but it feels like I'm barely managing." Eleanor's eyes softened with understanding. "I know it's tough. I used to feel the same way when I was working hard to support us. But remember, every challenge you face now is shaping you for the future." I sighed, feeling the weight of her words. "Sometimes I feel like I'm letting you down by not being here more often." Eleanor shook her head firmly. "No, Lily, you're not letting me down. You're living out the dream we both have for you. You're making the most of the opportunities, and that's what matters." As we worked together, I felt a renewed sense of clarity. Eleanor's sacrifices and her enduring strength were the foundation of my achievements. Balancing my new world with my old one was challenging, but I understood that each world had its place and purpose in my life. The days passed, and the pressure of university life continued to mount. Yet, whenever I felt overwhelmed, I would remember Eleanor's words and the quiet strength she showed each day at the stand. It was a balancing act, but it was one that held profound meaning for both of us. The day began like any other at Eleanor's vegetable stand, with the sun rising early and casting long shadows across the rows of fresh produce. But as the morning progressed, an unsettling quiet settled over the usually lively market. The usual bustle of customers was noticeably absent, and Eleanor's weariness was evident, despite her determined efforts to maintain a facade of calm. I was at my dorm, buried in textbooks, when I received the call. It was from Anna, Eleanor's longtime friend. Her voice was strained, and her words were hurried. "Lily, you need to come quickly. There's been an incident at the stand," Anna said, her voice trembling. My heart sank as I immediately packed a few essentials and rushed out the door. The drive back home felt interminable, each passing minute heightening my anxiety. When I finally arrived at the vegetable stand, the scene before me was both chaotic and heartbreaking. The stand was in disarray. Vegetables were scattered on the ground. The money box was missing, and Eleanor was sitting on a crate, her face pale and her hands trembling. Nearby, Anna stood with a worried expression, her eyes red from tears. "Grandma," I called out as I ran to Eleanor's side. "What happened?" Eleanor looked up, her eyes filled with a mixture of shock and exhaustion. "There was a robbery," she said weakly. "They took everything. Money, produce. I tried to stop them, but they pushed me down." I helped her to her feet, my mind racing. "Are you okay? Did they hurt you?" Eleanor shook her head, but her face was etched with pain. "I'm fine physically, but I feel like I've lost everything. It's not just the money or the produce. It's the effort, the years of hard work." Anna stepped forward, her voice filled with a mixture of concern and support. "Eleanor, you need to get checked out. You might have a concussion or something." "I'm fine, Anna," Eleanor insisted, though her voice betrayed her. It's everything falling apart. I looked at Eleanor, my heart breaking for her. Grandma, you've worked so hard. This is just a setback. We can figure something out. Eleanor's eyes met mine, and I could see the depth of her despair. Lily, it's not just about the stand. It's about the dreams I had for you. I feel like I'm failing you. I took her hands in mine, trying to offer comfort. You haven't failed me. You've given me so much, more than I could ever repay. We'll get through this together. As I spoke, I could see Eleanor's resolve starting to falter. She was overwhelmed, not just by the financial loss, but by the emotional toll it had taken on her. Her hands, always so steady and capable, were now shaking. Anna stepped in, trying to offer practical advice. Eleanor, let's get you to the hospital to make sure you're all right. Lily and I will sort out the stand and figure out the next steps. Eleanor nodded, her eyes brimming with tears. Thank you, Anna. I don't know what I'd do without you both. As Eleanor and Anna left for the hospital, I stood among the scattered vegetables, feeling the weight of the crisis settle heavily on my shoulders. The stand was more than just a place of business. It was a symbol of Eleanor's sacrifice and dedication. Seeing it in ruins was a stark reminder of how fragile our efforts could be. I spent the rest of the day trying to clean up the mess and salvage what I could. The task was daunting, and the emotional weight was almost unbearable. As I worked, I reflected on Eleanor's sacrifices and the toll this incident had taken on her. When I finally got a chance to visit her in the hospital, Eleanor was resting, her eyes closed in exhaustion. I sat beside her bed, holding her hand gently. I'm so sorry this happened, Grandma, I said softly. We're going to fix everything. We'll rebuild the stand, and we'll get through this. Eleanor's eyes fluttered open, and she looked at me with a faint smile. Thank you, Lily. I hope I haven't let you down. I squeezed her hand reassuringly. You haven't let me down. You've always been my rock, and I'm here to be yours now. We'll face this challenge together. The days that followed were filled with challenges, but also with a renewed sense of determination. Eleanor's resilience had always been a guiding force in my life, and now it was my turn to support her through this crisis. The bond between us was stronger than ever, forged through shared hardship and unwavering love. The days after the crisis at the vegetable stand were a whirlwind of activity. Eleanor was recovering in the hospital, and I found myself juggling university responsibilities with managing the aftermath of the robbery. The stand was slowly being repaired, but the emotional wounds were deeper and harder to heal. One evening, after a particularly exhausting day, I decided it was time to visit Eleanor. I needed to make amends for the tensions that had arisen between us, especially after the robbery. I drove to the hospital, my mind heavy with a mix of guilt and determination. When I arrived, I found Eleanor sitting up in bed, her expression a mixture of weariness and sadness. The sight of her in a hospital gown, frail yet determined, broke my heart. I walked in, carrying a bouquet of fresh flowers from the stand, hoping they would bring a touch of cheer. Hi, Grandma, I said softly, trying to keep my voice steady. I brought you these. Eleanor looked up, her eyes softening as she saw the flowers. Thank you, Lily. They're beautiful. How's everything with the stand? I hesitated, feeling the weight of the truth. It's coming along. It's been tough, but we're getting there. I've been thinking a lot about everything that happened and how I could have handled things better. Eleanor's gaze was steady. We've both made mistakes, Lily. It's part of being human. What's important is that we learn from them. I sat down beside her bed, taking her hand in mine. Grandma, I'm so sorry. I know I haven't been there for you as much as I should have. I was so caught up in my new life at university that I didn't see how much you were struggling. Eleanor squeezed my hand gently. You're not to blame for everything, Lily. You're pursuing your dreams, and that's what I wanted for you. I just wish we had communicated better. I felt so alone dealing with the stand and everything else. I nodded, my eyes brimming with tears. I should have reached out more. I've been so focused on trying to fit into this new world that I didn't realize how much you needed me." Eleanor's eyes were filled with understanding. "We both have our own battles, but the love we have for each other can help us get through these tough times." There was a moment of silence as we both processed the weight of our words. Eleanor's strength had always been a guiding force in my life, but seeing her vulnerable made me realize how much she had carried alone. "I want to make things right," I said finally. "I want to be there for you, not just as your granddaughter, but as someone who can share the burden and help rebuild what we've lost." Eleanor's expression softened with a hint of a smile. "That means a lot to me, Lily. We've faced hardships before, and we've always come through stronger. This is just another challenge for us to overcome together." Our conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Anna, who had been a steadfast support throughout this ordeal. She entered the room with a tray of tea and snacks, her face showing a mix of relief and encouragement. "How's everything going?" Anna asked, setting the tray down. "Better now," I replied, glancing at Eleanor. "We've had a good talk." Anna smiled warmly. "It's good to see you both talking things through. Remember, family is a source of strength. Lean on each other, and you'll find your way." As Anna joined us, we spent the evening talking, reminiscing about the past and discussing the future. The conversation flowed more easily, and the tensions that had built up between Eleanor and me began to dissolve. Before I left the hospital that night, I hugged Eleanor tightly. "I love you, Grandma. Thank you for understanding. We're going to get through this together." Eleanor held me close, her voice trembling with emotion. "I love you too, Lily, and I'm proud of you. We'll face whatever comes next with courage and love." As I drove back to university, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The journey to seek forgiveness had been difficult, but it had brought us closer and reaffirmed the strength of our bond. We had faced a heartfelt crisis, and through our shared struggles and understanding, we were finding our way back to each other. The day of my graduation dawned clear and bright, a fitting backdrop for a milestone that felt both thrilling and bittersweet. After weeks of stress and uncertainty, I was finally graduating from university. It should have been a day of pure celebration, but the recent struggles had cast a shadow over the event. As I prepared for the ceremony, I felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. The anticipation of walking across that stage was overshadowed by the recent turmoil and the complicated relationship with Eleanor and the challenges we faced together. Yet, I knew this day was significant not just for me, but for Eleanor as well. The graduation ceremony took place in a large auditorium filled with proud families, friends, and the usual celebratory atmosphere. I glanced around, searching for familiar faces amidst the sea of people. My gaze settled on Eleanor, who was seated in a prominent spot, her bare feet exposed as a silent testament to her struggles. She had defied judgment to be there for me, and seeing her in that state filled me with a mix of pride and sorrow. I spotted Alex, my boyfriend, standing near the entrance with a slightly uncomfortable expression. He and Eleanor had never quite seen eye to eye, and the tension between them was palpable. As I walked to my seat, I took a deep breath, mentally preparing myself for the day's events. The ceremony proceeded with the usual pomp and circumstance, and when it was finally my turn to walk across the stage, my heart raced. I could feel Eleanor's eyes on me, her unwavering support a powerful force. As I received my diploma and shook hands with the officials, I stole a glance at Eleanor, who offered me a proud, albeit tired, smile. After the ceremony, the graduation party was held at a local community hall. The room was decorated with streamers and balloons, and tables were set with an assortment of food and drinks. Friends and family mingled, exchanging congratulations and well wishes. The atmosphere was festive, but the recent events had left an undercurrent of tension. I approached Eleanor, who was seated at a table, still barefoot and looking a bit out of place amid the well-dressed crowd. Her presence drew a few curious glances, but she held her head high, embodying the dignity that shone through despite the judgment. "Grandma, you look wonderful," I said as I sat down beside her. Eleanor's smile was warm but tinged with fatigue. Thank you, Lily. I wouldn't have missed this for anything. I'm so proud of you. Before I could respond, Alex joined us, his expression a mix of awkwardness and reluctance. Hey, Lily. Grandma. Congrats on graduating. Eleanor nodded politely, though the tension between her and Alex was palpable. Thank you, Alex. It's good to see you here. Alex shifted uncomfortably, casting a sideways glance at Eleanor. Yeah, well, I'm here. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about our plans for the weekend. Eleanor's expression remained composed, but her eyes were sharp. Plans. I hope they include celebrating Lily's achievement. Today it is about her. Alex looked taken aback. Of course, it's just. I thought we could discuss our future. I could sense the brewing conflict and decided to step in. Alex, let's focus on today. Grandma has been through a lot, and I want this day to be about celebrating our accomplishments. Alex's frustration was evident. Fine, but we need to talk about this later. Eleanor's gaze was steady. I think it's best if you give Lily and me some time today. We've had enough stress recently. The tension was thick, but before it could escalate, Anna arrived, bringing a breath of fresh air. She approached our table with a broad smile, her presence instantly lightening the mood. Congratulations, Lily, Anna said warmly. I'm so proud of you. Thank you, Anna, I replied, relieved for the distraction. It means a lot to have you here. Anna turned to Eleanor, offering her a supportive hug. Eleanor, you've been a rock for Lily. I hope today brings you some well-deserved joy. Eleanor's eyes glistened with gratitude. Thank you, Anna. I'm just happy to see Lily reach this milestone. As the evening progressed, I noticed a change in the atmosphere. Alex, despite his earlier tension, seemed to relax and join in the celebration. Eleanor, though still tired, was beaming with pride. The party was filled with laughter, toasts, and heartfelt conversations, and for the first time in a while, the weight of recent hardships seemed to lift, if only for a moment. As the night drew to a close, I found myself standing beside Eleanor, looking out at the gathering of friends and family. I took her hand in mine, feeling a profound sense of gratitude and connection. Grandma, I said softly, thank you for everything. Your sacrifices have made this day possible, and I couldn't have done it without you. Eleanor's eyes were filled with tears of joy, and I wouldn't have missed it for anything, Lily. Today is a celebration of your hard work and our bond. No matter what happens, we have each other. The evening ended with a renewed sense of unity and celebration. Despite the trials and conflicts, the graduation party was a testament to our resilience and the strength of our family bond. The days following my graduation were a whirlwind of excitement and reflection. I was finally free to focus on the next chapter of my life, but the events of the past months had left a lasting impact on my relationship with Eleanor. We had weathered a storm together, and now it was time to rebuild and strengthen our bond. One sunny afternoon, I decided to visit Eleanor at her home. The vegetable stand had reopened, thanks to the community's support and the hard work of dedicated volunteers. Eleanor was back to her old routine, but her recovery was still ongoing. I wanted to check in, offer my support, and spend some quality time with her. As I arrived, I noticed Eleanor tending to the small garden beside her house. She was carefully pruning the plants, her bare feet in the soil as usual. It was a comforting sight, a reminder of her resilience and connection to the earth. Hi, Grandma, I called out as I approached. Eleanor looked up, her face lighting up with a genuine smile. Lily, it's good to see you. How's everything going? Busy but good, I replied, hugging her. I wanted to come by and see how you're doing, and maybe help out a bit. Eleanor nodded, her eyes reflecting a mix of gratitude and weariness. I'd appreciate that. It's been a long road, but I'm getting back to normal. As we worked together in the garden, I could feel the warmth of our renewed connection. The simple act of planting and tending to the garden brought a sense of peace and familiarity. We talked about everything and nothing, how the plants were growing, the latest news from the community, and our shared memories. You know, Eleanor said, breaking the comfortable silence, I've been thinking a lot about the past few months. It's been tough, but it's also shown me what really matters. I glanced at her, curious. What do you mean? Eleanor paused, her hands resting on the gardening tools. Well, I realize that despite all the hardships, we've come through it stronger. Our family bond has been tested, but it's held firm. And that's something to be grateful for. I nodded, feeling a lump in my throat. I've learned the same thing. I was so focused on my own problems and new experiences that I didn't see how much you were struggling. I'm sorry for that. Eleanor's expression softened. There's no need to apologize, Lily. We both made mistakes, but we've also grown from them. What's important now is that we move forward together. Just then, Anna arrived with a basket of fresh produce from the stand. Her presence was always a welcome addition, and she greeted us with her usual warmth. Hello, you two, Anna said cheerfully. I thought I'd drop by with some of our best vegetables. The stand's been doing well, thanks to everyone's support. Eleanor accepted the basket with a smile. Thank you, Anna. It's good to see you. How's everything on your end? Anna shrugged playfully. Busy as ever, but nothing I can't handle. I'm just glad to see the stand up and running again. It's a testament to how strong our community is. As we sat down to enjoy a simple lunch made from the fresh produce, the conversation turned to lighter topics. We reminisced about the good times and shared stories of our recent experiences. I've been thinking about what's next for me, I said, looking at Eleanor and Anna. I want to use my degree to make a difference, but I also want to make sure I stay connected to the things that matter. Eleanor nodded approvingly. That's a wonderful outlook, Lily. Remember to stay grounded and never forget where you came from. Your education is important, but so is the love and support of family. Anna chimed in, her tone supportive. And don't forget to take care of yourself. You've been through a lot, and it's important to find balance. We spent the rest of the afternoon enjoying each other's company, sharing laughter and reflections. The bond between us felt stronger than ever, a testament to the power of forgiveness, understanding, and family. As the sun began to set, I prepared to leave, feeling a deep sense of contentment. Eleanor walked me to the door, her presence a comforting reminder of our shared strength. Thank you for coming by, Lily, Eleanor said, hugging me tightly. It means a lot to me. We've been through so much, but I'm proud of how we've come out on the other side. I hugged her back, my voice full of emotion. I'm proud of us too, Grandma. We've faced a lot, but we've come out stronger. I'm looking forward to what the future holds for us. As I drove away, I felt a renewed sense of hope and purpose. The journey had been challenging, but it had also brought us closer together. Our renewed bonds were a testament to the strength of family and the power of love and forgiveness.